Elise Trouw. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Daryl?
I am good. So you're coming to us from California. What part of California is it? Down San Diego or?
Yep, yeah, I'm based in San Diego.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. So you have a lot going on. You have a new single that was just released. And that's All You Need Is Lust. You have a new album coming out in February, and that's The Diary of Elon Lust on Midtopia. Is that your third album?
It's my second album. I did put out an EP in between those two, but my second full length.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. So I was checking out your music. It's super fun. And you have become really well known initially because you had some really viral videos. You still do. And a great musician, great drummer. You have a really big background. So tell me about your early years and also how you came about this album, because this album is kind of a departure from what you've done before.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my background in music, with drumming specifically, um, is actually the video game Rock Band. I come from a family of gamers and nerds,
Oh,
and
cool.
so I was already playing piano at the time, so I kind of, was into music, and
Mm.
we got that video game. My parents, there's the four of us, my sister and my parents. We'd play as a band, two people on or one on guitar, one on bass, one singing, and then I always loved playing the drums, and so that's kind of what sparked me to start actually playing drums, and
Mm.
um, I just loved the feeling of playing, and so I took some lessons, started playing with other kids around my area, and that led me into like live performances, and then through that community of young musicians and the teachers I was working with, they got me into like songwriting, into singing, and all that, and it kind of just evolved from there.
Awesome. And one of the things that you do that you've been so successful at is looping, and especially the videos when you do that, it's really interesting. And that's a genre that a lot of people know. They're familiar with the term, but kind of explain that for people that don't know about looping.
Yeah, so with the live looping, the way that I'm doing it is, I'm building a track kind of in real time. I'm using drums, bass, guitar, keys normally, and then I sing on top of it. And so a lot of people use loop pedals. I like to use Ableton because I have more control over
Ah, okay.
like when the loops stop and start. And it's all hands-free, which is useful for if you're live looping drums, all four of your limbs are occupied, so you don't have time to
Right.
hit a pedal or push a button. So that's kind of like why I've used that specific technique, and that's I guess
Ah,
kind of what I became known for with those videos. Because people are like, oh, I don't see a loop pedal. How is she doing this? Is she miming it?
right.
Is it someone else hitting the buttons? And all of it's just a pre-programmed using MIDI in Ableton.
Yeah, cool.
So,
Yeah, I was with Cirque du Soleil for many years, and we actually used Ableton. And it
oh,
was,
cool.
yeah. Well, the awesome part for me was when I first joined, they didn't have any subs on the instruments. You had to be there no matter if you were sick or not sick. But once we started using Ableton, they would just record the show, all of our parts, and if I couldn't be there, they would just unmute the bass part. So,
Oh, interesting.
which was
Oh,
so
cool.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
such a useful app.
I
The
I
other
didn't
thing
know
too.
they do live music with Cirque du Soleil. That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. And some of the shows, like our show, had tracks, but also obviously live musicians too. So we had symphony stuff on track. But
Okay.
but Ableton works great for that, especially live situations.
Mhm.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But you also have a fantastic voice. When did you first start singing and kind of discovering your voice and that part of you?
Oh, thank you. I really only started singing a bit later into I was really focused on drums from the time I was like 11. And initially I wanted to go to college and be a professional drummer, and I
Yeah.
pretty much never sang. Like I wouldn't even sing when I was alone because I was so shy about it. And I honestly like struggled with pitch. Like I just thought, oh, I'm not a singer. Like I don't have a good voice. And
Mhm.
like I guess the reason I started singing was probably because like that group of musicians I was playing with when I was in my teens, like they kind of were like, "Oh, you should sing a song for one of our live shows." And I was so
Right. Yeah.
nervous. I think the first song I sang live, that was I sang a Black Keys song, "Lonely Boy." Um and yeah, I guess that kind of sparked me to start, singing in my room just like alone and like trying to get better. And I spent a lot of time just practicing. I took a couple lessons from different teachers, and then I kind of became really passionate about it after a while. Like I went from thinking, oh, I'm never gonna sound like a singer. I don't have I kind of assumed it was like a natural gift that you had to have. I didn't realize it was
Yeah.
something that you could hone.
Right. You have to develop. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I yeah, just now I it's one of my favorite things to do.
What's cool about you is that you have a very versatile voice because you did a version of Girl from Ipanema, which was super cool, and then you'll jump into another thing that's completely different, more of a pop thing. So it's fun how you found the different areas of your voice to explore. Has that been a kind of a fun adventure for you?
Thank you. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think in the beginning when I was first singing, I kind of just my mindset was like, okay, I'm just gonna sing whatever I can do, that's what I'll do. It was very I was a little bit limited by my own capacity to sing and I was maybe 16, 17, 18 at the time. That's when I recorded my first album and that really pushed me to just the process of recording an album really pushes you to become a better singer because you sing and then you have to listen back to what you just did and it's
Yeah,
oh, actually it was kind of bad like
yeah, it can be tough. It's like running around naked out in the world trying to figure out how it's going to sound to people. And, it takes a while. Yeah, it takes a while to figure that out. I think with especially with the voice. Have you singing and playing drums? Like that's a unique thing too. Is that something that's been challenging for you, or is it pretty easy? Or
Yeah, definitely. It depends on the song. In my own live shows, I avoid singing and drumming at the same time, mainly
okay,
because of the just the sound of the snare coming through the mic.
right,
I think that I'm using just like a standard vocal mic that doesn't have like much directional, anything. But I just did a tour in the spring, a Burt Bacharach tribute tour, and I sang two or three songs while playing drums on that. And the vocal mic they gave me was great. It was like super directional, and so it wasn't picking up the kit at all. And so that really helped with my performance and just like the sound of it. And
yeah.
um, it
Is it
just
weird?
it's like
Is it
an
weird? Oh, I'm sorry. I was I'd say, is it weird for you to have to, when you first started coming out from behind the drums, because that could be a little bit of a security blanket, right? Having your fortress around you. Was it a little weird when you first started coming out front and singing, or how was that experience?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because I was so comfortable playing drums in a live setting at that point because I'd been playing with different bands. And then even now, like all my live shows in the last couple of years, I'm live looping. And so my setup is like, it's like a little cockpit of instruments, there's the
Mm.
drums, there's the keys, there's the bass and the guitar that I pick up. And so during that show, there's almost no time where I'm not a little bit hidden behind an instrument. And I remember the first time I did like sing without being behind an instrument was for a video with Scary Pockets. We did a cover of Lean On. And I remember like I walked into the room and I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of it in advance. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be playing an instrument. And so I didn't know what to do with myself. So I just put my hands behind my
Right. Yeah. You're
arms
like, what do I do with my hands?
still. Yeah, so I wasn't like down to do the singing hand stuff, which I'm getting more comfortable with that, kind of presence and stuff now. But with this new project in the live show, I'll be singing a lot, like just kind of front manning the show because I'm, playing this alter ego character, and
Right.
so that'll be a little bit of a new thing for me.
Awesome. Yeah, and that so the character you have, it's you've kind of developed as Elon Lust. I was kind of reading your background on this album. How did you come up with the idea? Because this is kind of a big departure. You've been known sort of for your mashups and obviously the looping stuff. But how did you kind of come up with the concept for the new album?
Um, I would say it really like developed organically. I didn't think like, oh, I'm gonna make an album about this thing. I just in the last even like 7 or 8 years, kind of in the background, I just had been making these songs as kind of as jokes. Like I was writing songs from the perspective of people where, they say something maybe a bit off kilter, like something I think is a bit funny or a bit offensive, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write this song,
Yeah,
and,
you
and,
make
you
like a
know.
mental note, like, oh, that's a good idea for a song.
Yeah, and it just like was this funny thing, and I'd play it for my sister and my parents, and it was kind of just this thing I didn't really consider putting the songs out because I felt like, okay, these are just a bit out there, and then over time, I'm like, oh, there's actually these songs are starting to fit together, and they feel like one person in a way, and that's
Right,
kind of where it turned into being a character and kind of this personification of lust, because that's kind of the theme that ties all the music together, is like this,
right.
the themes of like objectification and it's yeah, so it kind of has just been slowly building in the background for years, and then I decided to take it seriously as a release in the last couple of years and really like finish the project and put it out.
Yeah, and it's cool. And it's like it's a nice body of work. It's not just one song. It's sort of a whole story in a way. And I like the video was awesome too for the single that you just
Oh,
released. It's
thank you.
yeah.
Thanks.
So how did you when because one part of what you're really known for is you have a huge following on YouTube. And how did you first get the idea of doing those kind of the mashup videos and that or mashup songs on video for YouTube? What was sort of the impetus for that?
Yeah, so it was kind of like yeah, the crossroads of a couple things at the time. I knew I wanted to go on tour and I couldn't afford a band, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go perform solo. And for
Mhm.
like say you're a guitarist that sings or a keyboardist that sings, you'd probably just do a solo show where you bring your acoustic guitar or keyboard.
Right.
But as a drummer primarily, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna just show up and play drums and sing with nothing else going on.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the
exactly.
other option is backing tracks, and I was like, well, I kind of want to, I played all the other instruments on the album, so I want to like, you know, um, kind of express that in the live format. And so that's kind of yeah where the live looping bit came from, and then the mashups um, where I was talking to a friend here in San Diego who helped me a lot with my career early on, and he I was, getting my live show together, and he's like, "Well, what if you played this song in the style of this?" And so I kind of
Mhm.
that's where the idea just to even combine things together, came from.
Right.
Um and yeah, then I some like the videographer kind of owed me a favor, and so we're like, "Okay, we're making a video. What are we doing?" And so I was like, "Well, I've been doing this live looping thing," and then kind of came I don't know, it's really it's a bit long ago now, so I'm like I'm
Yeah.
trying to think like okay, where did the specific like those two songs going together,
Right. It's
but
cool
yeah.
too because you pick a really wide variety of songs, and some are like very classic, like Bobby Caldwell, like stuff that are not necessarily. Well, actually, I should say, what were some of your early influences? Like, where did you come up with the ideas for those songs? To
Yeah, I
to
mean with the mashups in particular, like part of my intention was to always pick songs from different genres so that it felt like oh, how does that work, just kind of it's
right, yeah,
it's kind of a challenge in a way, like oh, here's a classic rock song and a more like classic you know, R&B style song, and just kind of figuring out how to piece them together and how to make some parts from each work. It's like a little puzzle, and I love that part of music and just like life in general. But yeah, my influences going back, like I grew up listening to top 40s, so that was like at that time like Katy Perry, Rihanna, and
right,
I would say like that era of pop definitely influenced a lot of my production in this new album. And but at that time, like, there's no live drums in those pop songs from that era. So I started playing drums and I'm like, well, what am I gonna play? I didn't really know any music
yeah,
that had live drums, except for the three songs I could play on Rock Band, Danny
yeah,
California and whatever the other ones were. And
yeah,
so I joined School of Rock in where I was living, and that introduced me, the teachers there introduced me to Led Zeppelin, Steely Dan, those kind of well, songs that had drums to play to, Tower of
yeah,
Power, and
yeah.
that's got me into
A lot of killer drummers. Yeah,
yeah. So they introduced me to just that those different eras and different styles, and then I took up jazz band in high school, kind of learned a bit of that style too. And I'd say, yeah, that those experiences, like the early listening to like top 40s, and then my mom also like showed me a bunch of like 80s new wave when I was a kid, and
ah, cool.
some like 70s stuff she grew up listening to, like the Carpenters. And so I would say like that also had an impact on kind of my taste and my style today.
Yeah, you have a bit of that in your voice. You can hear that the Karen Carpenter, like a very natural thing, which is really cool. It's like I said, especially for like girl from Ipanema. I heard that I was like, oh, that's cool because
Oh, thank
it's
you.
surprising and it's awesome. Um, when you producing this album, is it self-produced? Are you working with a producer? How does that work for you?
Yeah, so this one was a bit of both. So the majority of it self-produced. I worked with a producer on maybe three of the tracks. Daniel Tashian, he co-wrote a few of them and then co-produced those same songs. But for the most part, like this was my first time really, taking the reins on the production side of things. A lot of my previous work, I'd worked with producers and worked with engineers, and so this project kind of gave me an opportunity to just, yeah, like learn more about engineering, mixing, production. I didn't mix the whole album. I mixed maybe two of the songs on here, but just the process of it, I really like learned a lot through it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so valuable too, to be able to down the road, especially to be able to kind of control your own sound and, instead of having somebody sort of force that on you, which is challenging when you're a young artist, and that's kind of part of what you talk about in the album about like how people approach as young women artists, young artists in general, how labels and management different, it could be challenging, right? Finding your confidence, I guess.
Yeah,
What's your thoughts on
definitely.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if, in some situations, it's just, I got into the industry at a pretty young age, I was in my teens. And so even in instances where people aren't, it's not like they're always trying to push an agenda on you, but
Mm.
at that age, I was like, well, I don't even know what I want. And so um, I didn't always have like a strong sense of direction, like thematically in my work until this album. I think like I feel really passionately about the message.
Yeah. And it just takes time, I think, too, right? As a young artist, you have to kind of find your path and you get advice from everybody. You have to kind of learn like what advice to take and what advice to kind of go, eh.
Yeah, definitely. I think also at that age, like I kind of thought like everyone was my friend, I was
Right.
like 17, 18, and they're all really nice to you, like label people, industry people, this person, that person. They're like, "Oh, like I'll take you out to dinner with your parents." And I didn't really like have the business instinct, yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It takes time, I think, and you learn. But also too, like I said, learning from the production side of things too, it just gives you a much broader view. So when they say something, you can go, yeah, we could try that, but how about this? You have just gained the confidence is awesome. Are
Yeah,
you going to be touring this album, or what's your plans for that?
yeah, so there'll be a tour in the spring, a US tour.
Awesome. And have you been over to Europe at all yet, or is that upcoming down the road?
I've done a couple like fly dates and festivals over in Europe. I've never done a full like Europe leg.
Aw-
I hope
Awesome.
to. I hope this album, I hope there's interest in that. But yeah, yeah, I would love to tour as much as possible. I love it.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of that coming up.
Mhm.
I predicted your future. What would be some advice that you've learned as a young artist and a young creative that you'd like to tell other people that want to do what you're doing or just trying to out there make it happen?
hmm I would say like the best advice I could give anyone is just, and I mean this even is outside of music too, just like to have persistence. And I think the most important thing is just continually showing up. There's so many times where you're gonna feel like, oh, I'm not good enough or this isn't good enough yet. And the truth is like there's always things, that can be better. It's like, oh, like when I recorded my first album, I was like, my singing could be better and it could have been better, but at the time it was what it was. And it's
Right.
just showing up and still recording the song and doing the best you can. And just like continually having enough belief in yourself, to just keep going because there's a lot of things in the industry, that'll um try to stop you or not try to stop you, but are points where you think, okay, should I keep doing this? Should I keep going?
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, it's sort of the kind of thing I've always said because I'm 60 now. I've been doing this kind of all my life, music and production stuff. And it's kind of like that thing where I think if nobody can dissuade you, that's the only time you should keep like because everybody's gonna tell you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's like, yeah, well, that's your opinion. You just have to kind of have that determination, right?
yeah, almost like to a delusional level. I think it's good.
Exactly.
You because there's
Yeah.
so much, that was especially with this project, like I used to show my music to people and I'd be like, well, it's not mixed yet and it's this and kind of having I thought self-deprecation was like, being humble, but I think showing up with more confidence and because like you said, there's people saying, don't do this, don't do this. There's so much of that you have to internally build up your self-worth and your um without like walking around with a big ego or anything, but like just having that belief in yourself and like feeling strong enough to just push through that.
Yeah, finding sort of the stable ground under your feet, and you kind of one of the things that you talked about that I was seeing is something about like you always feel you're growing up like you want people to like you, and you had kind of mentioned something about that. And tell me about that because it's we're kind of brought up a certain way, or like you said, being self-deprecating, and as a young artist or artist in general, you really have to like kind of push those thoughts away. Tell me about that going through that process with you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I first was promoting myself as a musician, when I was in my like mid-teens, I it was an eye-opening experience just from the fact that, and I think this is something, a lot of people are aware of now, but maybe at the time, just being online and having people comment both positive or negative things, or positive but in a creepy way things, or like all sorts of, there's just, you kind
Right.
of hear a whole array of stuff that you don't hear in your day-to-day life, or at least I hadn't fully experienced that up until that point. And so, um, it kind of, yeah, it was a process of trying to not take either end of it so literally or so to heart, not taking negative comments or positives, so don't let that sway your inner sense of self, I feel like
Yeah, I
I'm
always
really,
say it's nice if people like you, but it's not a requirement.
yeah, and I think, yeah, so for the first, and I also being that age, I felt like, oh, I need to be polite, or I need to be, I don't want to be seen. I don't know. It's just scary to kind of be seen at all in any way. And so I wanted like people to see me as the best possible version of myself. And so, that means kind of trying to hide the parts that you think might be judged or criticized or controversial at all in any sense, And so I do think that maybe it was a benefit to me early in my career, like, but it ended up feeling like I was presenting like a very two-dimensional version of myself.
Mhm.
And that will kind of just create this dissonance in your mind of like, okay, who's Elise Trouw, the person? Who's Elise Trouw, the person
Right.
online that people are
Yeah.
seeing? And it's unrealistic to expect that anybody will fully understand who you are just from some, video or just seeing you on a screen. But I think I've felt compelled to just be more open and be more comfortable being seen, and whether that means like receiving more criticism about this or the content or that, I think the benefit to me is like I'm hoping that I'll find that my fans or the audience that likes this new body of work, the hope is that they feel seen as well. And so I think like you can't get that type of connection without risking vulnerability and without risking, being disliked.
Yeah. And I think too, like that just makes you a better artist having to go through those things, even though it can be awkward. And the online thing, people can be anonymous. It's easy to type mean comments behind a keyboard where nobody knows who you are. It's different when you have to do it in somebody's face and you have to do it face to face. They're a lot less likely to do it.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, but it's kind of the world we live in. But I think that you've come to a really great place with that. I think this album seems like it's kind of cathartic in a way, and you're able to express a lot of that through music, which is really powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, no, cathartic is a great word to describe like the process of making it. And my hope is that other people that feel similarly or have had similar experiences can listen to it and like feel that same sense of catharsis.
Yeah, that's awesome. Everybody, please check out the new single. That's out now. It's on your Spotify, all your streaming services. The new latest single is All You Need Is Lust. Awesome video, as I said. You can check that out on YouTube. The Diary of Elon Musk comes out in February, and tell people how they can find you online.
Yeah, I mean, my name, Elise Tro, that's my handle on like YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, anywhere.
Awesome, and it's Trouw, like
Yep,
snow,
that's right.
like pronounced like snow, because I love the video.
Yeah, there's probably like one too many vowels in my last name, but it looks kind of cool, so
Yeah, it's cool. It's
the
awesome.
farm.
At first I was thinking French, but you mentioned what was the nationality on the
Oh
name
yeah, it's
last
a
name?
Dutch last name
Dutch,
originally, but
right?
my
Yeah.
dad's from South Africa, so it's the Afrikaans pronunciation is
All
Tro.
right. Cool. I like it. Hey, it works. It's obviously working well for you. So awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. It's great to hear your story. Have a great time in Vegas this week because you mentioned you were coming here. And awesome. Thank you so much. And I will include all your information, all your links and web links in the podcast release. And awesome. Have a great day.
Okay, cool. You too. Thank you so much for having me. This was
All right.
nice.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and please consider subscribing to our podcast and follow us on our social media pages for guest announcements.